Hey guys, new comic book day for the week of November 2nd. We're going to get started right now, so check out the end of this. Check out the end of this to find out who was the winner of a free trade this week, and then find out how you can get your hands on a free trade yourself. So we're going to get started right now. First up today, Occupy Avengers issue number 1. Looking at the title of this book, I was expecting to just absolutely hate it. I'm one of those people that likes to read comics as an escape from the reality. So when things come in and they're like ripped from the headlines type things, it kind of takes me out of comics because it's not what I'm there for. So that's why, for example, a couple weeks ago, some of you might have seen my scathing review of Champions. But Occupy Avengers, actually, it really even shouldn't be called that because this story revolves around Clint. So if you're a fan of Hawkeye, this is definitely one to pick up. It's basically picking up directly after Civil War. It's one of the few ones that you can actually pick up and not worry about being spoiled because this one is dealing with what happened in issues number 3, 4, and 5 of Civil War. So if you're caught up on Civil War, nothing here is spoiled. So we have Clint basically being a force for good, roaming the countryside. Hijinks ensues. So that's where this one is. The art is done pretty well. We introduced some new characters. It's one that I was pleasantly surprised with. I was impressed. It didn't get too preachy with what was going on, and I highly suggest picking this one up. Take a chance on Occupy Avengers.
Hey, it's Victoria Grace with Ashen Phoenix at the comic book store. Today I am reviewing, first off, Mote Row. This book, it was written well. The art was okay, and the only thing that I could complain about is I hate that it's in black and white. And it kind of reminds me of a color book, and not to be weird, it kind of even smells like a color book. It does. Smell this book.
I'll smell the book.
What's the verdict on the smell?
Does smell like a book.
Sounds like a
Smells like a book. Yeah. It has like a heavy ink smell. I don't know. Something about it.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe our diamond box was somewhere weird.
I just didn't like it. It had to be Mote Row. She made it smell like a coloring book. I know it.
Smells like motor oil.
No, but I do like that this book had aliens in it. I'm a firm believer in the mysterious beyond out there. Aliens, UFOs. No, I thought that was neat though. It's a cool twist on comic books, and I thought that was neat. And then a little side note, the gorilla is a figment of her imagination. It's basically the whole book is her talking to herself except for a few little slides. So that's interesting. And the aliens really don't come in until the end, which I thought was a little bit weird, but because it has aliens on the cover. They're not really like a big thing in it though. So, mixed review about Mote Row. Pick it up, don't pick it up. I don't know.
What's up, guys? It's Tim from Capes and Scowls. And, check out our YouTube. Check out our page, capesandScowlspodcast.com. We have a Patreon now. Patreon/Capes and Scowls Podcast. So, that would be sweet. Anyways, I'm going to review this book. It's called Mottro, I guess is how it's said. It is by Oni Press. It has this kind of cutesy, cartoony art, but it is not cutesy at all. It is pretty hyper-violent. Its story follows a little boy who's outside of town with his tiny miniature motorbike, which is like a sentient being. All cars and things like that talk to the people like it's no big deal, and they talk through pictures. It's very strange. But pretty original idea. The bad guys have tanks. The tanks talk through pictures. It's very strange. People are talking to their tanks as if they're like their pets. Anyways, this book's awesome. It's weird. It is one of the weirdest things I've ever read. The boy is on the outskirts of town, and he keeps having this dream of his father dying, and he goes to the town because he thinks there's trouble, and he gets into a fight, and you find out he's super strong. But some of the people he's fighting are also super strong. It's Mad Max kind of feeling with weird tanks that talk through pictures and a miniature motorbike like literally this big to the kid. And that's his friend. And it's very weird. This is the strangest thing ever. But if you like strange, weird things that don't make sense, this is for you.
Remember that book that was a little bit too preachy? Well, it's back. Champions, issue number 2. This one's a little bit better than the first one. It's still written very well. So for those who don't mind being immersed in real-life drama coming into your comics, this was pretty good. It's definitely written towards millennials. A lot of the buzzwords for older fans will drive you nuts, like the word microaggression. If you are one of those people that kind of gets bogged down with those terms, avoid this book because it's probably not written for you anyway. But it is a solid book. I'm coming around on it. This issue is a little bit better than the first because all of the political tones that are going to be in the book weren't as shoved down your throat with this one. So, as usual, it's drawn by written by Mark Waid, and Humberto Ramos I'm a huge fan of his. So, if you like the art, if you like Mark Waid, definitely pick this up. If you like some of the characters, this is probably a decent one to get to. But again, if you don't like millennials, pass.
Alright, next I reviewed Mayday. If you like adult comics who kind of incorporate real life, then you will like this. It's kind of set in the 1970s where, and I didn't pick up on that at first because I thought it was funny where in, I can't find it now, but a few pages in, they had an 8-track, and I thought that was weird because I was like, who has that in their car anymore? But apparently it was set in the 1970s, which they kind of, I guess it alludes to, but you don't get it until a few pages in after the 8-track. So it's kind of like these Russians and you're starting to find out what's going on, and it's kind of set in the Cold War, so they're pretending they're not Russian, and you're like seeing like what is happening with them, why are they here? So that goes on, and they encounter some hippies along the way, and whoever did the art for this book, I'm just saying, definitely did LSD because these pages, nobody who's never done LSD would know to draw that. And if you like nudity, you will like this book. So I suggest picking it up. And when I was reading this, I actually was like thinking of the Cowboy Bebop theme song the whole time. So keep that in mind when you're reading.
Last up, Green Arrow issue number 10. It's kind of a boring book. It's picking up the beginning of a new arc. So if you're a fan of the Green Arrow, if you're a fan of the new direction that this is going, because we are picking up Green Arrow is a little bit closer to how the series is running on TV, with the exception of Black Canary being the younger version in the Birds of Prey and her own series from the New 52. So, and also Diggle's in this one. So it's a little bit different. If you're a fan of the series, pick this one up. Otherwise, if you're a fan of the Green Arrow anyway, pick it up. If you're not, I don't know what's going to go on with this. It's very vague on what's going to happen. Where you're picking up a transcontinental rail or trans-Pacific railroad going from Shanghai to Seattle, and there's an assassin on board and they have to stop it. So we'll see how that goes. I might pick up the next one just because I'm curious to see how things progress with this one, because again, there wasn't a ton going on with it. So we'll see how it goes. Pick it up if you like the Green Arrow. Pick it up if you like the series. If you don't, you can skip it because with Rebirth, there's so many titles out now. So, yeah.
All right, next up we got Foolkiller, number 1. If you don't know anything about Foolkiller, it's a character that's been around, I believe, since the 70s. Basically, based on an O. Henry novel, the idea of this villain, he's a vigilante. He's like poor man's Punisher. Basically, if you're deemed a fool, he kills you because you have no value to society, kind of thing. Foolkiller has never truly been done that well. I think his original old stuff's pretty great. I know a lot of people like that. He's recently been in Deadpool, Mercs for Money. This takes place after that, where he's no longer a part of that group. It explains pretty early on that he's a shrink now for supervillains that are going to rehab. And it's weird. He's trying to rehab Young Red Skull, which is a white supremacist Nazi who just puts blood on his face every day. And he won't tell him where he gets the blood. It's pretty funny. The dialogue's good. You find out as well that he's working with S.H.I.E.L.D. He messed up a sting that S.H.I.E.L.D. was working on, and he just surrendered because he got thrown through a plate glass window, and he's just like, why am I doing this? This is dumb. I'm done with this, and he just gives up. So, it's a weird book. I won't say it's bad. It didn't really hook me. The art was okay. The idea was kind of different, so it is different, but I don't know. If you like... No, don't read it. I don't even know what I could say. Don't read it. It's not that good.
Last but not least, Catwoman Election Night. This one was okay. I'm not a big superhero fan. And just a warning, there's going to be ads every other page in this book. See, look. Oh, that's not an ad. But this is. So prepare for that. I thought it was well written. I liked the art. I liked Catwoman's costume. Awesome. The storyline is okay. Nothing remarkable about it. So this one you can pick up, not pick up. It doesn't really matter to me.
All right, and we're ending on. I'm ending on Thor, the Unworthy Thor, #1. This follows Odin's son. Since he has, for those who don't know why there's a female Thor, it's because he is deemed unworthy, which that happened back in Original Sin, which was like 7 events ago. And it happened when Nick Fury whispered in his ear something that made him unworthy, a secret that he revealed, and then he couldn't hold the hammer anymore. So now he goes around with a giant axe. It starts where he's on a planet where he can't get off of the planet. He doesn't have his axe. He's trying to reach his axe, and he just gets a horde of aliens that are just beating him down, constantly beating him down. He can't escape, and it flashes back to several days earlier where he's on the moon, and he is attacking a bunch of trolls. And he gets beat up there, too, and he ends up getting saved by his giant goat, which he travels through space on, naturally, if you know your mythology. And he learns that while he's not worthy to lift the hammer, there's a new Watcher-type character who says, I saw everything. I'm like a different version of the Watcher. And I think this is related to Secret Wars because he says, I know where there's a hammer you can lift. That's the plot point they're trying to get to. He's like, you'll be worthy of this other hammer. And it does tell you to check the Thor's Secret Wars Thor's miniseries, which I'm sure no one did. Because that'll explain more about this hammer that this weird character is speaking of. A lot of cool things happen. The ending is great, but I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to enjoy it for yourself. So I would check this out, and I don't know how many issues it'll be. I believe it's a mini. But they tease you what was said in Original Sin. They're about to reveal it, and they stop. One day, Marvel. All right, no, this is great. You should get it.
All right, guys, trade recommendations this week. Doctor Strange opens this Friday. So I figured, as a person who has never really read the series, never really read anything about Doctor Strange, I wanted to give myself a baseline kind of understanding of the character so that way at least I had something to go on with there. As a result, I was pushed towards 2 different comics. We have Doctor Strange, Strange Origins, and Doctor Strange, The Oath. Both are very differently drawn and very differently written. I found myself gravitating a little bit more towards the Strange Origins because based on the trailers that are going on, this Strange Origin book definitely looks like it's going to be a little bit closer to what you can expect from the movies. The Oath was pretty good. I'm not a fan of Brian K. Vaughan. It was a little bit slow going, especially after reading the pacing from the first book to this one. It was a little tough to get through. But once you get about halfway through the book, it picks up. It does pretty well. Both of them are worth getting. So, you guys get a choice this week for our giveaway. You get either Doctor Strange Origin or Doctor Strange The Oath. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, subscribe to Capes and Scowls channel, like this video, and then comment with a recommendation that you saw. And you will pick up one of these two comics. But what happened last week? Last week we were giving away a Black Panther trade issue number 1, and that one is... Everybody has their hands crossed, so no drum roll right now. And now everybody just now, stop. It's just terrible.
That was a good drum roll.
Yeah, I know, it was just bad.
It was really good. Yeah.
So bad.
Thanks, man.
Anyway, guys, Matt Sandone, line up, give us your address. We will ship you out a brand new copy of Black Panther. So, that's it, guys. And again, thanks for everything. Make sure you check out Doctor Strange because that looks amazing. If you're a DC fanboy, there's really nothing going on. Go see it anyway because it's probably going to be number 1 in the theaters and everybody's going to be talking about it anyway. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week.